When trying to educate people about food or about eating, I am not a nutritionist, I am not a dietitian, don't claim to be, don't want to be. What we're going to talk about is how food works as fuel, more importantly, how fuel works to power you as a better swimmer. And hopefully, through answering the why, then we'll get you a little bit more interested in the what, which is the nutrition. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, we're going to talk about muscles and how they work. And then we're going to break it down to how food empowers you and gives you energy. So I just need 2 volunteers. I need somebody with really tight muscles. You got really tight muscles?
Yeah, she does.
Somebody with really loose muscles. Who's really flexible.
I'm really flexible. I'm really flexible. Oh, you're kidding me. I'm not.
Okay, listen. This is what we're going to do. Really simple demonstration. Okay.
The 49ers.
The 49ers?
All right, listen. We're going to put our hands like maybe a foot apart. About a foot? That's it. Is that good? Ready? So listen. When I snap my fingers, I need you to clap really quickly. Okay, so the question, I'm trying to see who can clap the quickest after a snap. Got it? Everybody's got the assignment? You got it? Okay. Okay, here we go. You ready? Hey, type again. Here we go. Ready? Much better. Ready? One more time. Okay, perfect. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. Everybody give a applause really quickly. Now the reason I want to talk about that, I use that as a really simple demonstration. Muscles contract. That's all they do. Muscles contract. They squeeze together. So we can train as much as we need to, but muscles contract. And they contract in these little segments, and segments are called sarcomeres, or muscle pieces are called sarcomeres. The tighter your muscle sarcomeres are, or the closer that the calcium and other things in there are, then the quicker you can contract. Right? So more power, more strength means that you have your sarcomeres are a little bit shorter, the little composites inside the muscle are closer together, so when you flex, everything's closer, it can bunch together, the muscle can flex a little bit quicker. If you need more flexibility, then within those same muscle fibers, things are spread out a little bit further apart, the calcium and magnesium as they are, and so then even though you're trying to flex, it takes a little bit longer for those things to bunch up. Does that make sense? So in one person, it'll bunch really quickly, and that's somebody with really tight muscles. In other people, it takes a little bit longer for the muscle to react, and that will be somebody with looser muscles. It's a really simple concept. What you eat and how you train has a really huge effect on that concept. So now that we understand muscle sarcomeres and how they work, we're going to talk about food. Food is important. Who thinks they eat too much food? Who thinks they eat too much food? Who thinks they don't eat enough food? Who doesn't care? Who's like right in the middle, you know what, I just eat, I don't even worry about it, whatever. Okay, now here's a really good question. Who wants to swim faster than they swim right now? Okay, so we're all on the same page. So we all got the same goal, we're all starting from some different places, that's fair, right? So food becomes really important because we all want to swim faster. So some of us need looser muscles, and we need to create some space in between those sarcomeres so we don't get tight, and we're not tense, and we don't need as much sleep. Some of us need tighter muscles because we're thinking the fast thing, but the muscles just aren't doing it. So how we eat is going to matter. What I need you to do is I need about 6 meals per day. That's the first thing I want you to think of. I want you to think of 6 meals per day. So in your mind, it sounds like a lot of food because in your mind, you're thinking of what your meal looks like. And for most of us, we eat 2 to 3 meals and a whole lot of snacks. So in our mind, this meal is this big, huge thing. And so if you imagine 6 of those, then there's just absolutely no way. It becomes really difficult to imagine. I'm gonna need 6 of those every single day. Go. Breakfast. I like brunch. What comes after brunch? Lunch. What comes after lunch? Snack. What comes after snack? And if we're still awake, then what comes after dinner? Dessert or a snack. So we got the right idea. Everybody gets this premise and it makes sense and we all say it and we all say yes. We all say yes, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be perfect and I should. And then we don't. Because like I got up late and then there was the bus, and then there was the lunch, but I lost it, and then I wasn't hungry, and then my mom didn't pack what I wanted, and then supper while I was over. Stop. Listen. This is elite level swimming. Right? We're not at the why. This is as good as it gets. We had stage a couple weeks back. Hey, it goes down right here. This is it. You're here. You wanted to make it. You wanted to be great. You are now here. And so now we get to talk about the stuff that nobody wants to talk about, the important stuff. And how are you going to do it? So, we did 6 meals per day. Who knows what they should consist of? And I'm going to tell you one of the secrets. One is protein, and what are the other things? We're actually going to use that. Carbs is the word I was looking for, and what's the third thing? That's close. We're talking about fat. So normally we're talking about protein, carbs, and fats. I want to talk to you about sugars, fats, and proteins. Sugars, fats, and proteins. So who can give me their favorite sugar? What's the best sugary, other than sugar itself?
Candy!
What kind of candy?
Sour Skittles.
Sour Skittles. Is there anybody here who does not like sugar? What do you like instead of sugar? Do you like salty things? Do you like pizza? What do you like? Do you like French fries?
You don't like
Okay. So I'm starting with sugar because we all love sugar. She loves sugar. She doesn't know she loves sugar because potatoes break down just like that into sugar. And so it's almost this little trick that we play on ourselves. Sugar is your number one source of energy. Sugar is your number one source of energy. Sugar is your number one source of energy, which is why we love it. You have some sugar, you're good to go. Because sugar gets your brain going. It keeps your electrical parts going. Sugar is your number one source of energy. Fat is your number 2 source of energy. So they go in order. For the first 6 to 8, sometimes 10 minutes, your body will use sugar as energy. Once your body gets through all the sugar and burns it away, then it will use fat for energy. About 20 minutes after the fat stores start, then your body will start to burn away muscle tissue for energy. So let's go back to sugar. Sugar is your number 1 source of energy. Sugar is your number 1 source of energy. So, can somebody give me any other ways that you can get sugar other than candy? I'm gonna go with that for one. I'll be back. Fruit. Fruit would be a natural source of sugar. Anybody else? Oh, come on, you got it. Just throw something out there. You'll be surprised at how good you're gonna do. Potato. Perfect sugar. Ice cream. So let's talk about why a potato is a sugar. Every food eventually will break down to sugar. That is the energy that we need. Sugar is the energy that we need. Every food will eventually break down to sugar. Carbs. What we consider carbs. Who can think of a carb? What's your favorite carb? Bread. What else we got? Cheez-Its. Anything that is not a protein or a fat that you can eat ends up being a sugar. So carbs are a sugar. Vegetables are carbs. So you are supposed to have proteins, carbs, and fats. Carbs and sugars are the same. Vegetables are sugars, vegetables are carbs, vegetables are sugars, vegetables are carbs, vegetables are sugars, vegetables are carbs. Everybody say vegetables are sugars, vegetables are carbs. We love sugars. Indirectly, we love vegetables. See how easy that was? All you gotta do is you just gotta program your brain. So understand that sugars are your number 1 source of energy, and that everything that is not a fat or a protein that you eat will end up being a carb, which indirectly is a sugar. So I do want you to have lots of sugar. I want you to have tons and tons of vegetables. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. But now I want to go on to the next thing, and this is why I'm bringing up sugar. Adenosine triphosphates, long word, doesn't even matter. It's your energy or your strength. You get it initially from your sugar intake. Your sugars will wear out after the first 100. Right? Everybody's good for about 100. After 100, we find out who really likes to swim the distances and who doesn't. Right at about 100 is where you feel the difference. We can all swim a 50. Your sugars wear out at about 100. Around then, for most of us, you get into the fat burning stages. And it hurts a little bit. Fat's a very inefficient fuel. We don't like to burn it. If you swim longer, you get into 500s, you get into miles, for example, your body stops burning fat and it starts burning muscle. Somewhere later in practice, when your second wind kicks in, where it all burns the same, that's when we're burning muscles. So sugars are our number 1 source of energy, fat is our number 2 source of energy, and protein is our number 3 source of energy. I'm gonna come back to sugars in a second. What's your favorite fat? You can think of a fat. I know it's hard, right? So there's fat on beef. Is everybody familiar with the fat, the little fat rind on the outside of steak? There's fat there. That's called subcutaneous fat. That's the fat rolled on the outside. There's some other kind of fat in beef, and it's called visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that's inside your muscle. Like sometimes guys will get bigger in the middle, but their belly's still rock hard because the fat's marbled inside. That's called visceral fat. That's the fat that'll kill you. Stay away from the visceral fat. But those are the types of fats. Are there any other kind of fats you can think of?
Butter.
Butter. But there's a lot of fat in milk, and so whenever you take milk and you culture and you do different things to it, you can bring the fat out of it. Anything else?
Cheese.
There's fat in cheese because it's made from milk.
Bacon.
There's lots of fat in bacon. So what does fat do? Do we need fat or do we want to eliminate fat? What do you think? Yeah, right? You always want bacon, for the record. You always want bacon.
Eliminate.
So fat can be good and it can be bad. We need fat to lubricate our joints. We need fat to keep us from pulling muscles. Your brain is almost all fat. You need fat to feed your brain. We don't need excessive fat. We don't need to carry extra weight in the water. We don't need the kind of fat that now gets wrapped around our organs and basically kills us. We want to stay away from visceral fat. So we do need fat. Can somebody think of any healthy ways or healthy foods that would give you fat? Anything off the top of your head? Avocado is probably number one. If I had to pick a healthy way to get fat, avocado is number one. Anything else? I don't know if you're going to get very much fat from broccoli, but what about
Peanuts.
or peanuts? Or peanuts. It's always an option. So sugars are number one. Fats are our number two source of energy, a little bit harder to burn. And then number three is protein. Protein burns last, but it also burns the best. If you're ever doing something and you get really, really tired, and then out of nowhere you feel your second wind kick in, like with moms that have been shopping, with dads that have been shopping with moms, it just happens. Because there are things that you're doing and you can't take it and you're sure you won't make it. And then out of nowhere, you're just rejuvenated, you're good to go. But your body has been burning fat, you felt yourself wearing down, and then it switched over and started burning muscle, and now you're good to go. And you can do this all day. We want to try to avoid that place. But that's also what makes protein so important. As high-level athletes, which brings us full circle, the rules for you are a little bit different. You guys are using your bodies in a way that other people aren't using their bodies. You guys are overusing your muscles in a way that other people aren't. So you have a responsibility to replenish them. You have a responsibility to take care of them. It would be like if you rode your bike every single day. Well, at some point, you got to put air in the tires. You just got to do different stuff. So you're burning away quite a bit of your muscle tissue with the amount of time and the amount of yards that we're getting done. So because of that, that's where you hear these things about athletes needing more protein. And so in our mind, we go, I gotta go on a high protein diet, it'll give me big, huge muscles. A high protein diet will do nothing but give you really high protein. That's the only thing that'll happen. You'll just eat more food. What you do with that protein is gonna make the difference. So we're having this talk today because you guys are already doing the work. You're already doing the work. So now I wanna make sure that I'm giving you the information that you need so that you can get the benefits from the work you're doing. So, I don't know how much anybody weighs, so this information will be very, very generic. So to keep it generic, I'm going to use a 110-pound person. I don't know what the weight is here, but we'll just say we're going to average 110. Out of a 110-pound person, depending on how much of their body is made of muscle and how much is made of fat, that's how we determine how much food we're supposed to be eating. And I'm saying this because the question is, well, Larry, what should I eat? And the answer is, first of all, you're all different people, you're all different sizes, you all swim different things, you all have different backgrounds, so you should all eat something different. But I'm going to give you a generic outline. And if you have your phone with you, pull it out now. And I want you to, I use Facebook. I know, stop, I don't want to hear it. I use Facebook because I want to be able to get some information to you guys real time. So if you have your phone with you, I want you to go to Functional Eating on Facebook. And when you go there, there is a report there, and it has to do with collegiate eating, or collegiate athletics and nutrition. So just pull that article up and we'll talk about it. But for right now, we're going to start at 110 pounds. At 110 pounds, you're a super duper athlete, so I'm going to assume that you are 10% body fat. Who knows what 10% of 110 is? 10% of 110. 10% of a 100-pound person.
20.
Perfect. So if this person were 100 pounds and they were 10% body fat, that would mean that 10% of their body weight was made of fat. Fair enough? So that would leave 90 pounds. So what we care about is not this 10 pounds of fat, which is what most people care about. We care about this. I now know that my live, healthy, shredded swimmer is really only 90 pounds. I know that my live, healthy, shredded swimmer is carrying a 10-pound backpack, but I know that the swimmer that I'm talking about feeding is only 90 pounds. So this is a really good number, just so you'll know, so usually it's going to be higher than that. So the important part is when you're thinking about calories, or you're thinking about nutrients, you have to talk to the live, healthy person. If you keep feeding the whole other person, you're going to always have the whole other person. So we're going to talk about this person. So based on the amount of yardage you guys are putting in, and where you are in your developmental cycle, I want between 1 to 1.1 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. So let me tell you what that does. At 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, on a daily basis, this person would eat 90 grams of protein. I can expect that on a standard workout basis, just a regular 3 times a week, and do my legs, and do my arms, and do some cardio. On a standard program, I can expect that on 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, that this person would maintain this throughout their workouts. So now I know if I just fed them 90 grams of protein plus all the other stuff they need, that they will maintain this muscle mass. If I need you to grow muscle mass, or to get larger, or to get stronger, I will start giving you more grams of protein per pound of lean muscle mass. I don't want any of you to grow. That's not the business that we're in. So I don't need you to get bigger. But I also know that you're doing more than 3 times a week, just do my legs, just do my arms, just do my cardio. Because I know those people, and I know what those workouts look like, and they don't look anything like the workouts that you guys are doing. So I'm taking the workout that you're doing, and I'm taking the standard workout. Let's say I'm going to add 20 to 25% in my body. So then I'm going to make these same sort of adjustments here. So I want 1.1 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. The question to you is, what does that look like? And this is where this gets fun, too. We start talking about food. 90 grams of protein. How many grams of protein in a chicken breast? 20, 24, sometimes 25. So at 90 grams of protein, let's just say it's 20. At 90 grams of protein, how many chicken breasts does this person have to eat every single day?
4.5.
56. About 4.5. So just to get the protein requirements correct, for this person to maintain their body and not lose weight and dwindle away and get weaker as the season goes on, just to maintain, this person would need to eat about 4.5 chicken breasts per day. Right. And that's why we're having this talk. Because I'm going to paint this picture and you're going to realize that this is a whole lot of food. And even though you're eating everything in the pantry, you're going to realize we're not eating the stuff that we're supposed to be eating. So is there anybody that eats 4.5 chicken breasts a day? 4.5, maybe 5? And it can be anything. You can substitute. So maybe you have 2 servings of salmon and 2.5 of chicken. But what I need you to think about is I need you to have that many. So what I did is to make an illustration. I stopped it. Costco, and just got some bars. And I picked these really because they're the simplest. 20 grams of protein per bar. So if you were going to eat these bars, and you needed 90 grams of protein, how many of these bars do you have to have every single day? 4.5, right? So we're right there. Now understand that at that 4.5 of these bars, it would get you your 90 grams of protein. But we already talked about sugars. And we already talked about fats. We haven't talked about calories yet, but we will. By the time you got the protein that you needed by eating this many bars, then you wouldn't be able to eat anything else all day, because then your calories would be through the roof, your sugar would be through the roof, and you'd be cracked out of your mouth. So that's what makes this tricky. That's what makes this such a big, huge industry, is nobody knows what to do. Do I go gluten-free? Should I be vegan? Do I eat bars? Do I have shakes? Do I just cook? Nobody knows what to do. So I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible for you today. You can use these who likes chocolate deluxe. Now listen, you can't open the bars yet, catch, but open the box, pass out a couple. Hey, calm down, we're not eating just yet. Just open them up. I want you to open them. I want you to take a look at the label on the back. We're going to learn to read them together. Everybody get close enough to somebody that has a bar. And if you're not, just let me know and we'll get some more out. Get close to somebody that has a bar so they can bar. Okay, can everybody see the label? Alright, we're looking at the label. On the back of this bar, and on most food things, or most of the food things that are packaged anyway, they're going to have these labels. Yeah, you can look at that one. Perfectly fine. So, on nutrition facts, what's a serving size?
1 bar.
1 bar. How many grams in each bar?
50.
How many do you have? Okay, so this is where things are going to get a little bit tricky. Everybody stay focused. And I want you to say them out loud. For the calorie count, what's your calorie count? 180? Sugar has a whole lot of different names. Remember we said that carbs are sugar, vegetables are carbs, so technically vegetables break down into sugar. Fruits break down into sugars. Breads break down into sugars. Proteins eventually break down into sugars. Everything that you eat eventually breaks down into sugar, which is why we all get too much sugar. And if people say, I don't eat sugar, you don't understand what I'm saying. If you eat food, you're already getting sugar. So if you even get a little bit more sugar, it's going to probably be too much. Everything breaks down into sugar. Some things easier, some things harder. Here's a better explanation. Sugar goes in as sugar. Alcohol goes in as refined sugar. Just above sugar, you can get fruits such as bananas and very, very soft things that break down very easily to sugar. Just above that, you can get breads and things that, as they break down, turn into sugars. The thing that's the furthest away from sugar is a steak or a really hard protein. Your body has to use a lot of energy to eventually break that protein down into a usable sugar. Okay, so whole lot of facts. You can open the bars now and eat them. The important part about the bars is when you're choosing a bar, these are the worst bars you will ever get. When you're choosing a bar, you're looking for high protein content and very low sugar content. You're looking for high protein content, very low sugar content. The further you can get those two away from each other, the better off you are, and that's a very generic standard. The further you get those two away, the better off you are. Now, a really quick diagram, and we'll make all this hopefully make sense. So your body's a tube. Things go in one end and they go out the other. Brand new order. So it looks kind of like this. For simplicity's sake. Food goes in one end and it goes out the other. This is a real generalized version of this, but it'll make sense. In the middle, food gets stuck. When the food goes in, your metabolism starts. Your metabolism does not start when you start jumping around. That's your body. Your metabolism starts when you put food in. This is called the Krebs cycle. K-R-E-B-S. Krebs cycle. When that food goes in, the stomach starts turning, liquids start going, things are just moving. During that time, you're taking vitamin A out, vitamin B out, you get some protein, you get some vitamin D, you get all the things you need. Even with the biggest and heaviest meal, that'll work for about 2 to 3 hours. After that 2 to 3 hours, all the vitamin A, the B, all the good stuff is pretty much gone and absorbed into your system. What's left over is the stuff that's supposed to be going out the back door. So, if you eat another meal while this sits here, after that 3 hours, then it starts this going again, and it cleans you out. If you don't eat another meal and you let this sit here, then now there's no more good stuff in it. So now it spends however much longer leaching out all the fats, leaching out all the toxins, leaching out all the bad things, and that's why bad food makes us sick. Anybody like McDonald's? Come on. Can you imagine if you had McDonald's every 3 hours? Well, would it be good for you? Does anybody know whether that would be good for you? What do you think would happen if you had, and let's be honest, we're all adults here. What would happen if you ate McDonald's every 3 hours for like 2 days? Right, you would just poop nonstop, right? At first you would get sick, and it's true, but that's what we're talking about. So even McDonald's, even the worst of the worst food, if you keep it coming every 3 hours, then your body gets all the good stuff and the bad stuff gets shipped out. The problem is, by the time you eat McDonald's, you're not hungry in 3 hours. Because you can feel all of this just sitting there. So most of us just sit and wait. And we go, no, not hungry right now, really, really full. Had a whole pizza, or had whatever. And so then that sits there, and that's where we get sick, and that's where we get fat. So that's where we come back to this. Every 3 hours, I need you to eat as much food as you can possibly tolerate.
That sounds great. I see my teacher.
Every 3 hours, I need you to eat as much food as you can possibly tolerate. Now, it sounds like a lot of fun, but this is what I mean by that. I would need you to have, you would get up in the morning and you would eat, what's the biggest breakfast you could eat? Give it to me. 3 pancakes, eggs, bacon, all my favorite stuff. Okay, so I got eggs, I got 3 pancakes, and I got bacon. That's a fair breakfast. A glass of orange juice and a glass of milk. That's a good breakfast. So if I can get you to eat that as soon as you wake up, but I need you to understand that 3 hours after that, I need you to eat as much food as you can possibly eat again. Okay, sounds good at first. Because one's at 6 and then one's at 9. But then 3 hours after that, I need you to do it again. And then 3 hours after that, I need you to do it again. And what you don't realize is what will happen is the meals will end up being very large in the beginning of the day. Systematically, because you are actually full, the meals will just get smaller and smaller and smaller. More importantly, what happens is this. You wake up in the morning, your metabolism has not been moving. You dump as much fuel on it as you can. It has absolutely no choice but to start processing food. It's not going to let the food sit there and just refuse to go. That's just not one of its options. That's not what happens. So as it begins, now your energy picks up because you're processing food. Again, you can let that food sit the rest of the day and we're going to start digesting all the toxins. But if in 3 hours you bring the next dose of food in, you're going to have to take a bathroom break at school. You got to think about this. This goes out the back door. You're right back where you started. Every single 3 hours, flush the system. If you can do this, the meals will get smaller. Your blood sugar will level out throughout the day. There will be no dips in energy. There will be no dips in learning. For parents, if you have your phone, the book is Spark, S-P-A-R-K. And there was a school in Naperville, Illinois, and about 12 years ago they finished 1st and 6th, respectively, in the world in science and in math. So Americans always last, we get it. They finished 1st and 6th, respectively, in the world in science and math. One middle school in Naperville, Illinois. Community much like this one, no bigger, no smaller. And this is what happened, and this is a true story. Get the book, you should get it, it's a great book. A lot of the overweight kids were not participating in phys ed for whatever reason. They don't want to take their shit, whatever reason, they weren't participating. So the school created what we now know as 0 hour. So they would have a before time so these kids could go and get their gym class. What ended up happening is the very kids that they put in the 0 hour shot to the absolute head of their class in all studies. The administration said, well, maybe we're onto something. This is what we'll do. I want to move everybody's gym class to before their science or their math class. It just so happened that the year they tried that was the year they finished 1st and 6th in science and math in the world, respectively. Now, it's a studied phenomenon. All the colleges use it. Every school has a 0 hour. It's now completely dominated by athletes. And more fact, kids still don't get to go in that gym class. But the point is, we now know what exercise and food and learning all have to do with each other. It's a book called Spark. It's a really good read. It starts with those kids in Naperville, Illinois. As the chapters go on, it ends up with when one person dies, the other person dies. So they'll take you through every single phase of your life, and they will talk to you about nutrition and how it affects you. Spark is the name of the book. So, let's go back to our 90 grams of protein. If I'm having 6 meals a day, who can tell me how many grams of protein I need to have per meal? It's 90 divided by 6. That's why I hang out with swimmers. Like super smart. 15. Okay, so if we have to convert that, how many grams?
15 grams.
So how many times per day? So this makes this a lot easier all of a sudden, right? Instead of 4.5 chicken breasts, if I can get 15 grams of protein in 6 times a day, then we're good. And so this is where it gets much easier. What I really need is I need 3 decent meals. I need 2 boiled eggs in the morning and a banana and a granola bar. It's gonna be 15 grams. Oh, okay, it doesn't have to be that. I need the equivalent. I need 15 grams of protein in the morning. Sometime about 3 hours after that, I need 15 grams of protein balanced out again. Sometime 3 hours after that, I need the same healthy sort of thing for lunch. And I just need you to do that systematically throughout the day. So we're not having these big, huge overloads on the system, and then we're starving the system. I need you to keep feeding it, and feeding it, and feeding it. What this will do for you, blood sugar levels go up when it's turning. Blood sugar levels are your energy or your ability to concentrate. Blood sugar levels go down as this machine stops. I don't ever want these to go down. I want them to come up in the morning. In about 3 hours, they start to drop. You bring them right back up. In about 3 hours, they start to drop. You bring them right back up. 3 hours, they start to drop. You bring them right back up. If you can do that systematically throughout the day, by the time the 6th one is over, you will be so sleepy. You will just go to bed and be out like a rock. There will be nothing that can move you because now you're tired on the inside. Your inside has been working all day. You've had 2 to 3 bowel movements today. You're tired. And now that you're like a rock, and now that you're used to eating and your blood sugar is used to being fed every single 3 hours, now all of a sudden you sleep for 8 hours, or some of you 6 or 7. Now when you wake up in the morning, you're starving because that body that's used to being fed every 3 hours just got starved for 8 hours. Now you wake up in the morning, you start the cycle all over again, and then this all makes sense. So a whole lot of words, a whole lot of numbers, a whole lot of pictures. At the end of the day, does that make sense? Does the need to eat 6 times a day make sense? Does the need and the necessity for this protein and getting the protein in and how it supplies muscles, does that make sense? So we do need the sugar. We do need the carbs. We do need the fat. This is what's going to keep our blood sugar and our energy levels where they need to be. This is what gets you through practices. Which brings us to the next thing, and I'm going to get you out of here. Recovery. Listen. So listen, on this page, I'm going to keep updating this page, functional eating. I'm going to just keep loading it with information. I'm going to leave it really, really simple. Easy stuff you guys can figure out. I'll put recipes up every single day. Simple stuff for you to make, snacks, all the reports, all the studies, everything you need. But I want to talk to you about recovery. Chocolate milk fans? Chocolate milk? Okay. I'm for chocolate milk and I'm against chocolate milk, so let's talk about both. I'm not a milk product guy. I'm a firm believer that I am not a cow, and that is not my mother. I'm even a firmer believer that if my mother were pregnant and lactating, I'm still not down. And the cow doesn't drink the cow's milk. So, the simple thing is this. A long time ago, when you got to feed babies and you got to keep them healthy, there's not mothers busy. And so cow's milk would work. It was a filler. It was something that we could give our children and they would still grow. It would assimilate. We can give it to them. It's not going to kill them and they still grow. Knowing what we know about athletics now, milk is filled with a lot of fat and a whole bunch of other things we don't really need to get into. I'm mostly concerned about it because of the fat. Now, there are some benefits to milk. It's heavy in protein. The same way that mother's milk would nourish a baby without a baby needing to do all these different things, there are those same properties in milk. So when you're trying to recover from a workout, your energy's gone. You've been using your energy to swim. The last thing you want is to put a great steak in there, and now your energy needs to break the steak down because you'll never be able to break it down. So milk is something that's pre-digested. The nutrients are already available. All you got to do is drink it and it gets in. So again, I don't like it because of the fat, but the reason it's getting such good press and the reason they're able to say all these wonderful things about chocolate milk is because it is a good, ready source of available protein. And it just gets us right back to our other protein conversation. But because there's so much fat in it and there's so much other sugar in it, it ends up being complete food. So we just talked about proteins, carbs, and fats, or sugars, fats, and protein. Milk happens to be all three. It's the perfect food to give you proteins, carbs, and fats all at the same time. Now, I don't like it, but I did want to talk to you about it. After practices, when you are beat up and when the system is empty, how you replenish it is going to make a big, big difference. This is not the time to have a heavy meal. Right after practice or right after things are broken down, you want to have a simple sugar first. You want things that give you your energy back, things that make you feel better. A piece of candy would make your brain feel great. The candy and sugar is going to burn off quickly, and then you would have needed a carb or something that broke down a little bit slower to give you more sustained energy. And then just as that carb would break down, that's when the protein comes in. So you know what works really, really well for that? Fruit smoothies. That's why they're so popular. They put enough sugar in that you feel great because the sugar hits you. There's enough other fruit and other carb in that as it breaks down slower, gives you sustained energy. And then if you've got a protein boost or put some protein in it, now you get the long-term effect. So within 45 minutes of your strenuous workout, you need to put fuel back in your system. Within 45 minutes of a strenuous workout, you need to put food back in your system. You have that open window. After the 45 minutes, the system kind of closes back down, gets back to its regular cycle, and it's not going to do any good. Sugar is in first, simple carbs in second, and then a protein in third. If a fruit smoothie is within your grasp, that's going to be the best thing for right after. So, again, Functional Eating is a site on Facebook. I want everybody on, and I'm going to keep this updated nonstop. We'll get some other pages going later on as you guys let me know what you're into. 6 meals a day. On average, 15 grams per meal, 6 times a day. And that's if you weigh 100 pounds. Anybody here weigh more than 100 pounds? So, understand that for however much more you weigh than that 100 pounds, you can kind of start skewing these numbers a little bit. You might need 18 grams of protein, maybe 20 grams of protein. If you want to get really detailed about it, and if you care, you can stop in, come into the clinic anytime, and I'd be more than happy to go through it with you. So now what I want to ask is, who had the best tasting, worst for you food within the last 24 hours? That sounds pretty good.
Sour Skittles.
It's sour Skittles. What was it? An ice cream bar? Was it chocolate on the outside? Vanilla ice cream on the inside? Okay, I can still beat that.
Vanilla ice cream with like cookie doughs in it and then like butter that drizzled all over it.
You did close. Listen, you take that right there. That's actually the same day.
Wait, Dad, what did you have?
You had a Happy Meal from McDonald's and Chick-fil-A the same day. All right, the reason I'm talking about these foods, and this is the last thing I'm going to let you go. Cravings are really, really important. Cravings are really, really important. So the little things that you find yourself wanting, or the little things that you just love and you can't figure out why you love them, your body's trying to talk to you. And so it sounds corny, but this is a really easy thing to do. If you crave something, just always write down when you eat it. And after a while, you'll start to realize a pattern. You'll start to realize that you're probably eating it just about the same time every single day. And that's the best way to realize that it's just a craving. And when I do this, when I make meal programs or workout programs for people, I have them do this for 3 days. And over the 3 days, I can then see the averages, and I can figure out when this person needs their sugars, when this person needs their fats, when this person needs their proteins. And then when you're remaking their meal program for them, you make sure you give them their fats, their sugars, and their proteins in that order. Does that make sense? I don't want to try to change your life because as soon as I'm not looking, we're going to eat what you want anyway. So instead I want to find out what you want to eat, and then if I can give you healthier options and still give you that energy at that time, then it will work. Apples. All right, are there any questions for me? I know it's a lot of information, it's not the most fun information, but if I spit it out now, then as I come back to it, it'll start to make more and more sense. I'm going to start hammering you more and more and more on this food. Yes, ma'am. Perfect question. Anybody can answer this. How do I feel about energy drinks? What do you think?
No good.
Absolutely not! Listen, if you ever want to get jumped in the middle of the night, like you're on your way to the bathroom and you feel yourself just get grabbed and pulled by, have an energy drink. That's me. That's me catching you with energy drink. Absolutely not. 100% no. Energy drinks, we talked about this Krebs cycle. That's actually a really good question. We talked about this Krebs cycle. And we talked about how the only thing that really makes your metabolism go is putting food in. So energy drinks and caffeine and these other types of things, they give us a chance to make this thing go without any food. So the good news is it goes and things start moving. The bad news is all the other chemical reactions that were supposed to go with this thing moving don't happen. Now there is no vitamin A, there is no vitamin B, there is no protein. So now for all the spinning that you're getting out of your machine, you're not getting any of the other things that you were supposed to get with that spinning that will replenish you. So your brain gets the sugar that we were talking about. And basically these energy drinks, they just gave them new fancy words for super duper powered sugar. They found some other chemicals that do what sugar wishes it could do when it grew up. And they just feed those. And they will absolutely ruin your body, and they will ruin your swimming. You will have tons of energy in here. It will not translate to your muscles because this only translates to muscles through these nutrients. Energy drinks. No bueno.